All right, good morning. Sorry for the delay there. Zoom and didn't want to communicate with one of the social media sites. Must have been Facebook. They have this thing going on there with pedophilia. I don't think if you read about it or heard about it, some kind of connection there with pictures. Pretty crazy stuff. With Trump media. I don't know, Alex. It was like what over. It's nuts what's going on with just we got to get to the markets, but some judge in Florida overturning the ruling that you can't do this sex gender changes to kids. It's like, what is going on in this world, man? Scary stuff. Anyway, stock market. So more jobless, more people getting jobs, and it was interesting. The guy that does the bond market thing, I forget his name, Rick, I think, whatever. And but they were giving the news on jobless claims that came out, and he says, Santelli, yeah, thank you. And he made mention that in Europe, he didn't say which country or whether it's total, Eurozone, 2 quarters of negative GDP, recession. It's out there. It is out there and it's here. And we'll see what happens as the numbers come. But I guess that's a good thing and a bad thing. You know, the faster that things slow down, the faster the Fed will stop raising interest rates, but we'll see what happens. Right. All right. So it's out. Markets liked it a little bit. And things were just hanging out there, popped up, coming back in again. Basically a yawn. Market's just consolidating the gain from last week. No damage done here. You know, we've already covered that it's near this prior swing high. We talked about during the week, you know, the partial retests and the correction through time, and then the breakout and the probability that this can go higher. And it's just dealing with the uncertainty of Fed next week, options expiration, just worrying, I guess. And but as far as the chart goes, nothing is wrong here. A little bit of wrong in other places, mostly tech software got hit yesterday a bit, but we'll get to that. S&Ps, you know, little push under the lows, came back up, boring, you know, nothing going on. We'll see how far it gets. We got the, you know, obviously the wide range bar there, and I'd like to see it close up in the upper half there. And as we go into tomorrow, we'll see what it does. You know, other things are moving, but markets are kind of stalled. SPX, the strikes are close. They've been close. The ones we're picking haven't gotten hit, but it's going to happen. So, you know, what I mean by that is like these little tight ranges aren't going to last. And the closeness to the prior close and where the open is versus where the premium is, it ain't that far away. So, yeah, let's see what Jake got. 42.30. Got a little lower. Was there premium there? Because there wasn't before. 42.30. Well, yeah. Yes, so 42.30 now is better. I guess things come in a little bit. You trade them, you know, these things move fast. That's 75 by 85. So 42.30. It's a little further away. Sometimes that could mean the distance between life and death. I'm exaggerating, but you know what I mean if you do these and you see how they move. And 43.05? No. Yeah. Okay. You got to look. 4305. You can see that's pretty damn close. So we know where they're trading now. It's give or take unchanged. You know, down a little titch, not very much. It's pretty much there. So it certainly is in striking distance to either side, but I think I'm more favorable to the downside. Yes, you should wait till 9:30. All right, let's see what else going on here. Not a big deal. You know, bonds went up a little bit, yields come down a little bit. They're just consolidating up here. There's really not much going on. The dollar was up a little bit before. Now not. You can see the euro is kind of hanging here after this pretty swift down move. Ideally, ideally, if to make a turn, it happens down at this significant support, not in the middle of it, but it's holding here for now. What's gold doing? Just hanging out there. Maybe it's making a low. I don't think it's fallen enough to make it worthwhile. And you got that pivot there. So you got a little trading range going on. As you can see, pivot low, pivot high. Not very desirable patterns. This one's a little bit better. I did not hear that. Will you share the video name again? Are you talking about MT Live, Robert? No, during the morning update. The morning updates are on YouTube. You could, just go to youtube.com/C/master trader. All the YouTube, pre-market updates are there. Yeah, you can listen to them there. And MT Live, you can listen to them there. All right. What's Bitcoin doing? Kind of going back down. Trading range, nothing going on. Qs. This is where there was a movement yesterday. Right? And I thought it would get down here. It's close. It should try and stabilize down here. You can see it's short-term extended. And, looking at, I have some of them in here. I don't, but big range expansion red bar. So that's a short-term top. Is that gapping up a little? Nah, it's right in the bottom of the range. And if you scan through software stocks, other tech stocks, a lot of big red bars there. So wasn't much premium for call spreads expiring tomorrow, but we'll see how today shapes up for next week. And NASDAQ composite, we don't look at it that much, but you can see it's right up here near this prior high. So this makes sense for things to correct here a bit. And we'll see how much more with the damage that was done yesterday, how much that follows through or the lack thereof. And, some things, what got beaten up as, we saw it begin to happen as the markets were stabilizing, just prior to that rally, was money was coming out of the defensive stocks, so Coca-Cola. And if you look at is it XLP, consumer staples, I think that's XLP. Yeah. And you can see, so, the stocks that are in it, a lot of them got pounded down like this. And yeah. Oh, Yeah, so Valley, what Alex is telling you is the ETFs that you can trade for gold and currencies, but TC 2000 doesn't have futures, but you can trade the ETFs. So these, if the market starts to correct a little bit more, defensive makes sense. These could be things if we see a little bit more stabilization, like the Coca-Colas, it's BUX, it's retesting, didn't come down in the same way, but those usual suspects that are those kind of stocks, not necessarily they might not have premium, but for put spreads, they may have the patterns, but may not have the premiums for put spreads, but these may begin to stabilize. So you might want to take a look at that. The Russell, which has done the best, has stalled. It's got room to get to the top of the resistance area and close the void. So, this is down a little bit. But look at the monster size of that wide range bar. And then one red bar down and up 2 bars. So it's probably going to correct a little more. And then I think it'll go higher. So overall, markets are okay. Money is rotating out of the leaders and finding a home in some of the oil stocks. See, a lot of the oil stocks are looking like they can continue to bounce. Taking a look at crude oil, I see it's up a little bit. Kind of messy, but it's trying to build. You can see when you see mess like this, rule of thumb, higher time frame. Pivots opposing each other, bars overlapping each other, higher time frame. See if it makes sense, and it does. This does more, but that isn't moving. Pretty much nothing is moving. Dan will cover the gappers, but you see bonds aren't moving, equity markets aren't moving, gold and silver aren't moving, Bitcoin isn't moving. So we'll see how things unfold. Right now, it's starting out kind of boring, but maybe something else will happen to get things moving. We know the VIX is down low here. I've mentioned it can go lower. And even when it was down here, one of the things that you learn, just because it's low, that doesn't mean markets have to come down. Because as you can see, and what I said at the time is it can go sideways. And this can go sideways. You see how long it's spent down here. And if you go further back, you can see where it could go down to. And even when it gets down there, it could go sideways. So, I mentioned earlier in the week that this wasn't much of a concern, just being in the beginning of the extreme there. But the market is consolidating relatively well. It's stuck at the whole number, the SPX at 4,300. And not that I think it's going to go down there, but it is noticed that the biggest open interest and puts and calls almost equal is 4,150. So that's pretty kind of far down. So 4,200 was resistance, should be support. But look, at the moment, there's just not much of anything going on. So let's see what individual stocks, what's moving and what we might be able to take advantage of today. All yours, Dan.
Good morning. So even though the market's doing nothing, we do a much better job finding compelling setups to trade. We had a really nice entry the other day in those beaten down stocks in general, but also the regional banks, brokerage firms, insurance companies. We're still in a couple of them. Oh, am I showing the wrong one? Yeah, there we go. All right, so I don't have any alarms going off. We'll go look at a couple earnings, and yeah, oil stocks yesterday. A big old bottom here, breakout XOP, XLE. A couple I like. Hess. Greg gave us a couple here, and I posted a few. Nog I like. And look at daily, weekly buy setup. MPC. See, not as is. So here's another example that it's lagging the ETF, but as a swing trader, it's a bottoming pattern with a price void. Like transports yesterday broke out. We started nibbling into that in our ETF letter. Chug. Yeah, bottoming pattern. You know, this, you know, my analogy of this drop like this is that he's been in intensive care, couldn't bounce, multiple surgeries. Now he's finally going to rehab. He's finally stable enough. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on that, Thomas. Cop. I don't like that one as much. You got this pivot high right here. I mean, I do like the sector, so it's going to be a matter of doing the A/B test like we always do. Which one do we like the best? And I mean, I didn't scan the whole thing. I just picked the three that I liked from a big list that Craig gave yesterday. A couple of these Climos I've been watching. Look at Florida, finally has a closing range expansion breakout. HIB, still not ready. I prefer bottoming tail, or you know, some type of new low reversal. Nike, I've been watching. You know, could be setting up a potential retest. Greg mentioned Starbucks, potential double bottom, but it's potential. Southeast, I've been watching. So there's a potent bar on Tuesday. Keep an eye on that. Here's some earnings stocks. DBI 770. Capping right to resistance. No interest. TTC. There's a lot of stocks getting whacked today on earnings. This one's, well, that's a nasty gap up. There's some worse ones. Like this, SIG. Look at that. Man, that's an ugly gap. Oh, I don't look at Carvana bottom right. I just saw it this morning. Just ripping here, and it's not earnings. I don't know what's up with that, but monthly is stabilized. All started from this big gap and this 180 reversal closing breakout right there. Kirk earnings, light volume, but big old bottoming pattern. Rev G gapping up. I'd be selling the open if I were in that, so nothing to do. Rent gapping down a little bit, bottoming pattern, nothing to do with that. Oh, it's forecast. All right. You know what I forgot to do is the cousins. Is it KMX? Yeah, CarMax. Wow. How did we miss CarMax on Tuesday? That was a little pseudo 1, 2, 3 right there. And then you had a breakout weekly and a double bottom on the monthly. That was very, very viable on Tuesday. So I'm going to put CarMax on the list. Visto. I like the weekly a lot, but it's obviously extended here. Let's see if I can chop around for a couple days. Curve gapping down, that looks horrible. HP bottoming pattern. It looks like it's opening flat. So I actually set an alarm already at 35. That's an end of day base with a void. So that could be a very nice day trade. I'm gonna put that in a window. HP. Oh, I also had ASO as a Climo with an end of day base. Mobley, they've been talking about a secondary offering. That's just junk. Stay away from that. HCP, that's another whackage, but it's gapping a major support here. I'll put that in a window. See if buyers step up. You have absolutely no idea if buyers are going to step up like they did on Cisco. I remember this one. This gap on earnings was real. And look at that. No tail. Buyers just said, thank you for giving me a discount. SMTC. This would have been a fantastic gapper if it was gapping just over this. Big old kind of inverse head and shoulders. But it's now gapping up here. So just use common sense. Gap's too big. But I like showing you anyway what a tier 1 gap would be. And it's if it were gapping just over the consolidation. SMAR. That's what's called a 180 reversal. A shock pattern, breakout failure, into earnings, bull trap. It's all those names combined. Now, that's a nasty gap down on that. I'm gonna, this is GME. Let's put SMAR here. GME was earnings. Why don't I have it here? Had earnings last night. They fired their CEO. So gapping to $20. I don't know. I mean, I know fundamentally people talk about that of eventually going out of business. That's obviously the one that created that massive short squeeze that the Reddit boys did. Oh, I heard that the Reddit boys were laying off 10% of their workforce. So I don't even know how many employees they have anyway. Like GEHC. This was a bullish bar. Gap negated, closing breakout. Yesterday was neutral, held 50%. And now I don't know what the news is, but now it's a call spread candidate. If we can do something 8250 area. When there was some type of news on the casino stocks, I heard CNBC talking about, and then also some Chinese EV stocks. There was some type of news. So I'm going to put this in a window. Win looks good at a 30-minute low. It's a sell setup. That's gapping to 100. So see, so that, remember in MT Live, we talk about turns. So if this closes down here where it's opening up, then that is a 3-bar turn. 3-bar turn. Oh, Telegram, sorry. All right, Jerry, LMT, decom. Yeah, it's kind of, bottoming pattern. It's up a lot though, it's the problem. And there's no continuation bar. So you need a continuation pattern. Stravos, TCOM. Yeah, Greg, we tried putting on the Audible together. Let's try again later at 11 a.m. DCOM. DCOM. I don't see a gap, but another bottoming pattern. Your entry was yesterday over Tuesday's high. So, I don't know if it's a day or swing trade, but another bottoming pattern. Where did I leave off here? Bales. All right, that's a monster gap. You know, this to me kind of had a footprint of, uh, you know, a pump and dump situation, but let's see what happens here. IYT I mentioned, yeah, FXE. There's Chug. These oils we talked about. Florida. FO was a water stock, water ETF that I was watching, and I missed the entry yesterday. ROIV is the 1, 2, 3, top of the range. So ideally, you'll have one more inside bar, but it's a bio is the problem. There were all kinds of bearish reversals yesterday, and you know, as Greg said, with his VIX at 14, it is really difficult getting generous premium. I mean, it's like we're forced to go out to next week, which I'll consider today. But now Autodesk, and you know, it depends on the pattern whether, and I reviewed a lot of these in the video last night, the patterns of which ones I would be comfortable going out to next week and which ones I would not. This one I would. Snow, I would. So go up to next week and let's see what the 185 call spread looks like. Into it, I would, but it has to be far enough away. VeriSign, I would. Big topping pattern. WWE, we actually bought a bear put debit spread in this yesterday. So that looks lower. Workday, that would have been a beautiful, beautiful 2 DTE call spread, but it was like a dime. It's like, you know, it was, you know, irritating yesterday when you go through your checklist over and over and over again and no premium. Yeah, Thomas, yeah, we talked about that. I'm gonna watch it on a monthly chart. That's Berkshire. It's greater than 100% retracement, but it's bullish daily, weekly, monthly. We'll see if we can get a continuation pattern. MDU would be a fantastic 1, 2, 3 if it closes like this. I'm going to set an alarm at 21. Wait, I just printed 21. All right, so I'll do 2105. IWM the weakest today on the 15-minute chart. But you know, I like days like this because you don't have to rush. It's not an igniting day. All right, the Southeast I was watching, GME, I see buyers coming right out of the gate, but I just generally don't trade in the first 5 minutes. Hess triggering, put spread. Carvana, I have no idea what to do with Carvana right now. The HP I mentioned, end of day base. I was hoping it would open flat and then, you know, buy a 5-minute high or whatever, but that looks good for a day trade. NOG. All right, NOG triggered. TCOM and Travos. Oh, with a T. TCOM. Yeah, I talked about. Did I? Yeah, TCOM. I don't know what to do with this. It is gapping over a red bar, but it's up a lot. It's at resistance. I got no interest in TCOM. All right, NOG. Let's see what we have. All right, we were gonna buy the stock and then put spread. No, I did not give a put spread on NOG because why? Insufficient premium. But the stop triggered, or MDU triggered, but well, we got some whips going on here on the 5-minute horseman. All right, NOG, I will post. GM looking good, 33, 32, NOG. All right, Hess triggering. All right, Hess was a put spread, but I posted these where they're only going to get filled on a pullback. Here, I didn't give it to you earlier. I gave MPC similar. All right, see, because they're CLIMOs on the hourly.